So I just got back from lifting, and when I was there, I was reminded of a video that I wanted to make to explain a concept that I think will be very useful for you. Basically, this is going to be how to fix yourself. And what I mean by that is, for example, the past 2 years or so of my training have looked pretty much identical. Squat, deadlift, bench, and then some running, cycling in there, mostly running. And so that's been very sagittal plane, same kind of movements. I mean, I'm basically training 6 days a week and doing the same thing every week. No issues, no problems, until about 2 weeks ago, I started getting this weird sensation in my left hip. Not anything I would call pain, but not the kind of feeling that I particularly enjoy having. Nothing squatting, nothing deadlifting, but just moving around in the world, I would just have these like sudden sensations that maybe something didn't feel quite right. And then I would move through it, and I wasn't able to find that pain point again. So there's no one particular thing. You just get these sensations. And I think at first it's totally fine to ignore those types of things and just see if they go away. A lot of times you'll just have little phantom pains that maybe show up for a day and then the next day they're gone. But this wasn't going away. And I had a hunch that maybe I've been doing a little too much of, this position, this position, this position, the same kind of thing over and over again. So when you do a lot of the same thing, you inherently are automatically not doing enough of the other things. So the easiest way to fix yourself is to examine what you're doing and figure out what you're not doing. So if I look at squatting, I look at deadlifting, I look at running, what do these things all have in common? So they're all hip extension. They're almost all hip external rotation. So I'm pushing my knees out in a squat, right? I'm pushing my knees out in a deadlift. Basically all of those movements have some sort of external rotation component. So you look at what the bones are actually doing in terms of movement relative to the body. Forget about the muscles don't actually matter. And then you go, okay, well, how can I move in a way that I'm not moving right now? So moving the knee in would be one of them, internal rotation. Moving, the hip extension, it's pretty balanced. I'm getting a lot of it deep down in a squat. I'm also getting a lot of it that's just end range extension with like deadlifts and running. So probably not so much of an issue with hip extension. So I need to figure out how to get more of basically this movement. So what do? Well, how can I move that way? So if I start out from a squat, hey, this feels pretty good. Do a few of these, right? And then if I'm always pushing out and I've got resistance of that, so the knee valgus is kind of like that automatic movement when you've got load on the back, well, then I need some resistance the other way. So I can take a band, choke it on a rack, have a little resistance there, and I can move all through that range of motion all the way up and down. I did a little bit of that, a little bit of the, whatever you would call this, kind of like the shooter squat type thing. Some Cossack squats, just moving through those ranges of motion. Some shin box, that's another one of my favorites. You get internal and external rotation in the shin box. The important thing is not the particular drills, it's thinking about how you can get yourself moving in a way that you normally don't, and applying specific drills that are actually going to address those things. I'm not looking for a flow chart of if this hurts, or if you have this feeling, then do this. Just think about what motions of the body you're actually doing, and then how can you counteract those. And what's really cool about the body is it's not linear, right? So I can do 2 years of squatting and deadlifting and running and have no issues, and then I can start to have something telling me, hey, you need to make a change here. And I can literally do a few reps of those things a few times, and the sensation's completely gone. That's enough to move you in the other direction. One point on that, resistance is incredibly important. So if I'm squatting 400 pounds, it's probably not going to be enough load or stimulus to just move my body weight. I'm probably going to need some sort of external load to get that nonlinear effect to really kick in. You know, maybe I could get the same effect with 100 reps of body weight as I could with 10 of a little bit of additional load. So I'd always opt for the 10 because, hey, time is precious. So the next time you have some thing that's just not quite feeling right, don't panic, just fix it. Think about what movements you've been doing a lot of, reverse engineer them, and do the opposite. Hope that's helpful.